Okay, so this is the review. It is posted on Canvas. And this is your breakdown of the test. This is number 29. And then this is the one we're working on now. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and work on the first equation while you're doing it also. So this will simplify, and I'm going to distribute a 2. So 2 to the x plus 6. Here, nothing to distribute, so let me just rewrite it. And then when I go here, it's 10 times 1. So 2x plus 12 plus 2y minus x. And then I'm going to distribute the blue. This will get a 5. And let me do it over here to this side. So 5 to the x plus 2. And this will get a 4. And then the negative 3 gets the whole 20. So I'll distribute, and it becomes 5x plus 10 plus 12y plus 8, negative 60. I need to combine like terms. Same thing over here. My like terms are my x's though. And so here I get x plus 2y plus 12 equals 10. Move the 12. Over here, 5x plus 12y plus 18 equals negative 60. Move the negative 18. And now I need to figure out what variable I want to eliminate. Now, I could eliminate x by multiplying this equation by negative 5, or I could eliminate y by multiplying it by negative 6. Either way, it doesn't matter. So let's try the x. So this will now become negative 5x minus 10y equals 10. And now I can combine it with the other one. The x's cancel. I'm left with 2y equals negative 68. Divide by 2. And y equals negative 34. Good? Now I need to get x. So now I'm going to plug it in to either here or here. I think the red one's easier. So x plus 2 times negative 34 equals negative 2. X plus negative 68 equals negative 2. Add. And x equals 66. So 66 comma negative 34. Now, when I usually teach this to Algebra 1, the common mistakes are people don't write neatly. And they forget which variable they solved for first, and then they plug it into the wrong equation for the wrong thing. So make sure you're writing neatly and actually show y equals, x equals. And remember, when you write it in your order pair, it's always written as x comma y. Any questions on that one?
Can you zoom out a little bit?
Yes.
It's Corey.
Yes.
Yeah. How come once you find one of the variables, how come you're not putting it back into the original equations?
You can. You can plug it back into the original, but my originals were fractions. So I actually just plugged them into the manipulated ones. So if you're confident in your work here, You don't have to go back to the very beginning on this one,
Okay.
but you
Okay.
can. Absolutely. Any other questions? Any other things you want to see worked out?
Miss Corey,
Yes.
can you do number 55 and 9.1b?
Okay. All right, number 55. And you will have a 3 variable question on the test. So this is 2x plus 6y minus z equals 6. And then 4x minus 3y plus 5z equals negative 5. 6x plus 9y minus 2z equals 11. Now, be very careful when you're writing things down. One bad sign, one bad number, and then everything's messed up. So, equation 1, 2, 3. You need to choose what variable you want to eliminate first, and then also choose a pivot row. Anybody have any suggestions on what we want to eliminate? What letter? No preference?
X.
Okay, X is going to involve quite a bit of work, but I can do it. It might be easier to eliminate Y. Well, let's do X. All right, what's going to be our pivot row? We want to let's make row 3 the pivot row. Okay, and we're eliminating X. Now, this is,
How did you decide to make row 3 the pivot row?
it doesn't matter. Just as long as what you're doing is, as soon as you choose your pivot row, what you need to do is then you have to add 1 plus 3 and then also 2 plus 3. So now, because we're going to go ahead and he wants to try to eliminate X, what I need to do is when I add 1 and 3, I need to make these X's 12 and negative 12. Does that make sense? So eliminating X is a lot more work. I would have eliminated Y. It might have been a little bit easier, but either way, it doesn't really matter. So, so here, when I go to do 1 and 2, or I'm sorry, 1 and 3 together, so 1 plus 3, I need to make row 1 a negative 6. So what I'm going to do is multiply row 1 by negative 3. Everybody with me on that? So then now if I distribute a negative 3 here, I get negative 6x minus 18y plus 3z equals negative 18. I'm going to add that to row 3. I didn't have to multiply row 3 by anything. And now the x's cancel. And then I'm left with negative 9y plus z equals negative 7. Now I'm working with rows 2 and 3. So in order to get the x's to eliminate, I need to multiply row 2. I need to make them both 12s. So this will be a negative 3, and then this could be a positive 2. Or vice versa. This could be positive 3 and negative 2. It doesn't really matter. But one has to be a positive 12, one has to be negative. So let me go ahead and set it up this way with the positive 3. So to row 2, this becomes 12x minus 9y plus 15z equals negative 15. Now to row 3, I'm going to distribute a negative 2. And now I can add them. This will cancel. And then I'm left with negative 27y plus 19z equals negative 37. Now I have two equations with two unknowns. And now I need to figure out what I want to eliminate, y or z. If I want to eliminate y, I would need to multiply this by a -3. If I want to eliminate z, I'm going to multiply this by a -19. So I'm going to eliminate y. I think that'll give me smaller numbers. So I'm going to distribute a -3, and this becomes now 27y minus 3z equals 21. I now add it to this equation. The y's cancel like what I wanted. I get -16z is equal to 37 minus 21 is -16. Divide, and z equals +1. Pretty good so far? Now, when you're doing this 3 variable one, I would quick look at my answer choices. If none of the answer choices have z equal 1, then you know you've done something wrong. And then before you start proceeding and get deeper into the problem and realize that none of the 3 variable answers are there, start all over again. All right, so now I need to find,
Miss Corey,
yes,
for the tests and like the example you just gave, if you're doing the work and then you have an answer and one of those answers are on the test answer sheet, we put it in, but we don't like fully do out the whole problem. Is that points off?
all right, so if you're worried about time and there's only one answer choice that has z equals 1, yeah, that's fine. You could stop there. However, I would just double check and go back. But yeah, absolutely. Chances are, though, the way that the multiple choice test is going to be set up, there won't be just one answer choice. There might be. But yes, absolutely. If there's only one answer choice that has z equals 1 and nothing else, pick it and keep going. Because you may end up finding that you're running out of time. Absolutely. But if you have all of this work up to this point and there is only one answer, absolutely pick it. That's a good test taking strategy when you're taking, say, like an SET or something. Okay, good?
Miss Corey,
Yes.
you said that if like we found an answer choice and then like it's not listed, like for example z equals 1 isn't on there,
Yes.
and that like we should just start over because
Yes.
we know it's wrong. Is there gonna be like an answer choice that says like none of the above or like none?
No, they all have answers.
Okay.
So if you see that it's not there, then you've done something wrong and go back and redo it. Because what I found is, when I do this with Algebra 1, and like the same thing that happened to me in A period, like when I added, like for example, if I were adding this Z column, let's say I didn't know that 3 minus 2 is 1 and I put 3 minus 2 is 2. It was a simple mistake like that I just made last period. So it could be something as simple as that, or something as simple as once you did this and then you wrote the wrong thing down. So you just have to be very meticulous. So yes, if you don't see your answer, start over again. Don't even look at your old work. I would just start fresh. All right, so let's keep going, because remember, this is an ordered triple. We're looking for it in the order of X, Y, Z. So now to find Y, I'm going to go back up to this step to where I only have 2 unknowns. So, and it doesn't matter which one you choose. I'm going to go ahead and choose the -9y plus z equals -7. -9y plus 1 equals -7. Move the 1. -9y equals -8. I think I did something wrong. Is this the right equation? Is that a 7? Yes. Because the answer should be 2/3.
would it be the same if you applied it to the other one?
You should,
Corey?
yes.
You when you're doing for -3 plus 19, you put -16 instead of positive 16.
Ah. All right, so something's wrong with my problem. No, it's right, -1, sorry. This is a -1, good. All right, so this is -1. Everybody catch what happened? So again, simple mistake here. This should have been a positive 16, and then when I divide, this should have been a -1. So now it'll work. So now I'm using the same problem. I'm going to plug in a -1 now for z. I'm going to add it, and -9y equals -6. Divide by -9, y equals 6/9 or 2/3. Now I'm going to take these two and go back to the beginning. So I'll use the first one. It doesn't matter which. Whichever equation you think is going to have the least amount of work, that's where I would plug it in. So I'm solving for x. My y was 2/3, and my z is -1. So this becomes negative. So this is really +1. This, when I simplify, becomes a 4. I'm going to add these two. Oops. +5 equals 6. Move the 5. 2x equals 1. Divide by 2. And x equals 1/2. So, like right here, when I made this mistake, if it's something like that with a sign or something, just quick look through your work. However, there might be an answer that has z equals -1. Keep in mind that this ordered triple that we just got, if you were to take this ordered triple and plug in x, y, and z into all three, it needs to work for all three. If it doesn't, you know you've got the wrong answer. Does that make sense? All right, any other ones you want to see? Yes, question?
Oh, no. I was just saying, yeah, I got that part.
Okay. All right. Any other ones you want to see from 9-1 or anything you need explained? All right. So my advice to you is for the test is instead of trying to search through all of your Notability files, I suggest that you have either something all in the same Notability file or written down on a piece of paper. I would have the unit circle ready to go for the trig equation questions. I would have the law of sines and the law of cosines formulas written down. And then as far as this goes, this is just strictly algebra. Make sure your calculator is charged. So whatever references you want, have them readily available. Either have them written down on paper or have it all in the same Notability. You don't want to have to open up 7-6's notes, 8-1, 8-2, and keep flipping between different files. You're going to waste time. And when you have 10 questions to answer, make sure you're answering something for everything. If you find you're running out of time, just at least answer something. Even if there's no work for it, I'll probably go back and give you some kind of a point or two. If you get it correct, but there's no work to back it up, you won't get the full amount of points. I'm thinking each question's probably going to be about 8 points, but we'll figure all of that out. Just know that you need to answer something for everything. You need to have organized work, label all of the questions, like number 1, this is the work, number 2, and make sure you have work for everything. Any other questions?
Miss
Is there
Corey,
gonna be? Oh, no, go ahead.
I have a question from 7-6.
Okay.
Like, for example, like, I think I got this wrong on the quiz, but it's like cosine x, tangent x equals cosine x.
All right,
How
wait.
would you want us to solve that?
Tell me that one again.
Cosine x, tangent x equals cosine x.
Okay, so whenever we're solving a trig equation, we need to set it equal to 0. If you only divide both sides by cosine x, you're going to miss out on one of the answers. So what you need to do is move over and set it equal to 0. And then now what you're going to do is factor out a GCF of cosine x. And now you set each of the factors equal to 0. So probably what happened was you missed out on some of the angles. So now you have to solve these two. So for the red, this is going to come from the access point. Remember, you're going to look at x. So I'm looking where x equals 0. So it's going to be these 2 points, 0 and 1, 0 and -1. So in radians, this is pi over 2, and this is 3 pi over 2. When I solve the green one, I'm going to add 1. And then remember, I told you to memorize that tangent of x equals 1. That's your 45-degree reference angle. So that's going to be the pi over 4. And here, it's only going to be where tangent is positive. All students take calculus. So here and here. And over here, this is the 225, or what is it? The 3 pi over, let's see, in this quadrant. So the 4 answers here would be pi over 2, actually pi over 4, pi over 2 if I do it in order. So the 45, the 90, then the 225, which is the 5 pi over 4, and then lastly the 270. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Okay. Leo, you had a question?
Yeah. Well, for that one, what happens if there's a squared, like if it's tan squared x?
Then what you would have done is, if this were the scenario, then you'd factor this. So you'd make it tan x plus 1, tan x minus 1. So then when you go to look for this, you're looking for where tangent equals plus and minus 1. So it would be all 4 quadrants.
Okay.
So this would have 6 answers. Does that make sense? So you would get 4 from here, and then the 2 from the cosine.
Okay. I understand.
So I know 7-6 was a long time ago, so make sure you review that, because you do have 3 questions for that. Remember the tangent ones, because remember you got like the root 3 over 3 or just the root 3. Remember which order pairs will give you that answer, because remember tangent's y divided by x. So review tangent. So again, I'm available through emails in the afternoon. So again, if you get stuck on anything, take a picture of the problem you're stuck on and send me an email. Any other questions? Yes.
For the 8-2 and for the 8-2 section.
Yes.
I mean no, for the 9-1 and the 9-1 section. Is there gonna be answers that have the inconsistent and the infinite amount? Like, is there gonna be those answers?
You're just looking for, I think it might on some of the questions have inconsistent or no solution. You're not going to need to worry about describing any of the answers as inconsistent or consistent. Just look for the numeric answers. Any other questions? And I think one of the questions where it asks you to give it as an arbitrary y, you won't have to do that. You're just listing it as, you know, x and y. You know, if you end up getting no solution because the lines are parallel, you would say no solution. If it ends up simplifying to the same equation, then that would be all real numbers. That's the only two different scenarios. But most of the questions you're going to be looking for either an ordered pair or an ordered triple.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, well, that is it. So again, when I see you on Wednesday, make sure you're on time. I'll probably start the Zoom call 5 minutes early so I can get everybody in to the Zoom session by 9:20. I'll give you the access code and then you can start your test right away. If for some reason, you know, you're having technical difficulties, please email me, because if you miss the test, then you're gonna have to take it one-on-one with me, which is the Zoom call with just me and you. So make sure you're on time, and we'll start it right at 9:20. So you'll have so you don't have to go into your break time. Pretty good? All right, so I will see you on Wednesday. So again, if you have questions today or tomorrow as you're studying, let me know. Again, these review answers are already posted, but you still have to complete it and turn it in. Again, you may have eliminated a different order. You might have eliminated X where I eliminated Y first. But as long as you get the same answers, that's fine. That's it. Any other questions? All right, I will see you guys on Wednesday. That's it.